The night air was heavy, and the city lights outside the hospital window flickered like the memories she had buried deep inside. Alina's heels echoed through the sterile corridor of the emergency wing, each step a mix of hesitation and resolve. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and something else, maybe truth. A truth that was now unavoidable. She hadn't seen Zion in 10 years. 10 long years of silence, of scars healing over and over again. Yet here she was, holding a paper in her hand, a hospital bill that wasn't hers, for a man who had once left her shattered beyond repair. A man she thought she would never see again. At 19, Alina believed in love the way children believe in magic. Wholeheartedly, foolishly. Zion had walked into her life like a promise. Older, charming, a writer like her, but with eyes that hid storms. She was in her first year of literature school, clinging to every poetic word, while Zion was already publishing small pieces, admired in literary circles. He saw her, really saw her, and that felt like enough. But slowly, like winter creeping in unnoticed, the warmth disappeared. At first, he made her laugh. Then he made her second-guess herself. Her clothes weren't mature enough. Her dreams were idealistic. Her friends distracting. He isolated her, but wrapped it in words like love and protection. He didn't hit. He didn't scream. But his silence, his cold detachment, his subtle dismissal of her feelings bruised her in ways no one could see. The night he left, it wasn't after a fight. In fact, it was after a calm dinner. He had looked at her like she was a burden. "This isn't working," he said, quietly, as if discussing a failed investment. "I'm leaving. Please don't try to contact me." That was it. No closure. No explanation. Just abandonment. For months, Alina didn't eat properly. She stopped attending classes. Her once vibrant personality dulled to numbness. Nights were the worst. She would sit by the window wondering what she did wrong. Her journal filled with questions instead of poetry. Her professors noticed the change. Her parents didn't understand it. Her friends tried, but heartbreak is a private hell. But she didn't break forever. One day, she woke up and decided not to cry anymore. She applied for a small editorial internship. She joined therapy. She started running, not to lose weight, but to feel her body move again. She changed her phone number. She deleted every message, every photo, but not the lesson. Zion became a ghost she didn't chase anymore. 5 years passed. Then another 5. Alina published her first novel at 29, a book about a woman who rose from heartbreak like a phoenix. It didn't become a bestseller, but it touched people. She would get emails from strangers. "Your story saved me." That meant more than any chart rank. Then, on a rainy afternoon, her phone rang. It was Sima, an old college friend, now a nurse. "Alina, I shouldn't be saying this, but Zion's in the hospital. Alone. Liver failure. No money. No relatives. I thought you'd want to know." She laughed softly. "Why would I want to know?" "I don't know," Sima said. "But I remembered how broken you were because of him. Maybe this matters." She didn't sleep that night. She kept thinking, did he ever feel sorry? Was he ever haunted by what he did to me? But the more she thought, the more a strange calm settled in her. Not pity. Not revenge. Something deeper. The next morning, she walked into the hospital. Room 208. She looked through the glass. Zion lay there, his face pale, his body weak, machines monitoring every breath. He was no longer the man she remembered. No sharp words. No power. Just a human, fragile and fading. The nurse told her the bill was unpaid. It was a large amount. "He doesn't have insurance. We're trying to reach his emergency contact." But he listed no one. Alina quietly walked to the billing counter. "I'll pay it," she said. The nurse stared. "Your family?" "No," she replied. "But I knew him once." She didn't tell Zion she was there. She didn't go into the room. She left after settling the payment. But as she walked back to her car, the air felt different. Lighter. In the days that followed, she received a letter, written in shaky handwriting. "Alina, I don't know why you did this. I don't deserve it. I don't even deserve to ask. But thank you. I was cruel. I broke something beautiful in you. I thought I was winning. But I was just running from my own brokenness. I see that now. If I don't make it, please know, your kindness did what my love never could. It healed something in me. Zion." She read the letter 3 times. Then she placed it inside her old journal. The one with the heartbreak entries. The one where pain once bled through ink. Now, it had closure. Zion didn't survive the surgery a week later. He died quietly, with a clean bill and the knowledge that someone he once shattered had shown him mercy. Alina didn't attend the funeral, but she visited the ocean that day, the place where she used to cry alone, and watched the waves crash gently, as if washing everything away. Her second novel was titled The Room with No Apology. In interviews, when people asked her where the story came from, she simply smiled and said, "Sometimes life gives you the chance to rewrite the ending. I took it." Moral of the story: sometimes healing isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet. A decision made in a hospital hallway. A debt paid not in money, but in mercy. And true power, it isn't found in revenge. It's found in rising above pain with grace so strong it changes even the ones who broke you.